Hello, welcome back to Open Table Adventures. As always, I am Dan the Baker, and I'm here today with our video series Recipe for Adventure, where I get to make a recipe based on some amazing actual plays from all across the internet. Today, I'm bringing you a gluten-free focaccia inspired by the Atomless. The Atomless is an improvised audio drama created using the Starfinder system with GM Robin Eckberg, with players Momo O'Brien, Dylan Apelian, Andrew Rivera, and Nordin Ali Kadir.
How do I start a war?
So when I first sat down with Dylan to figure out what this recipe was going to be, they described the Atomless being about deeply broken people exploring an even deeper broken universe. And immediately I thought, boom, focaccia. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, we have to go back about 3 hours earlier today. Take it away, earlier me. Thank you so much, future me. So, because this is a bread, you gotta use a little bit of patience and a whole lot of time. To start, I'm gonna add our warm water. I warmed this to 110 degrees, but that's because I'm extra. If you don't want to do that, you can just warm it up a little bit and stick your finger in and say, ouchie, that's warm, and it should be fine. Next, I'm gonna add our sugar and yeast. I'm gonna mix it up just a little bit. Now, I'm gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes or until it becomes a little bit frothy. That's just so we know that the yeast is happy and active and good to go for all of our baking needs. Now, while we're waiting on this, let me tell you a little bit more about why I chose to do a focaccia.
It's in one of these mess of wires. Give me a second.
How many dongles is there?
A what?
Dongles. Wires.
Dongles.
Bits of
I call this one the green one. This one's the two outies.
She is
This
literally
one's
the
two innies.
engineer of the entire ship.
Hey, I am self-taught.
For this recipe. So I knew I wanted to do some sort of like tableau or canvas that I could put a bunch of things on to make it look like a scene or an art piece of some sort. Then I remembered one of the characters, Azhaam, is an avid cook and has oft used his fiery abilities to make bread. So, ergo, bread plus canvas equals focaccia. Of course. Okay, now that our yeast is nice and foamy and we know it's ready to go, I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients.
We will get there. This is turn-based, so.
Starting with the egg. I'm just adding this egg to add a little bit of extra hydration, because this is gluten-free dough, and it needs a little bit extra, and as my boyfriend says, hydrate or die straight. Next, I'm going to add all of our dry ingredients, our flour, and our salt and baking soda. Give that a stiff mix until no more dry streaks remain. You may have to go in with your hands just a little bit, but that's fine. Now that our dough is all mixed up, I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil and pour it all around the dough. I don't want to mix this in, but I want to surround the dough with it so it does not stick to the bowl while proofing. And I'm just going to kind of toss it around like it's a nice salad. I'm now going to cover it with a damp towel. Let it sit for about 3 hours or until it's doubled in size. But you guys don't have to wait at all. Back to you, future me. Also, I love that shirt on you. Oh my god, thank you so much. I love those glasses on you. Stop flirting. I need to go do dishes.
Is it broken?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, anyways. Let's check and see how this baby is looking. Okay, she has grown, basically doubled in size, and she's ready for us to put in the pan. So I have this pan that I've already greased and put a little bit of olive oil in, and I'm going to carefully move the dough into it.
Warn you, we will not finish it before we land.
Do you win?
Yes, there are different win conditions. There are certain markers of what has to be achieved before that happens, and it differs based on what you're focused in and like what sort of end game you're looking towards. For example, for the faction that Skye has selected, theirs would be very much a focus on conquering and territorial expansion. So for her goal is to claim all of the original home planets that these factions start out on, not necessarily any of the others that they explore.
Isn't that kind of really shitty behavior?
Oh, it's not ideal. No, but
it's pretend.
But it's pretend and also a historical sort of simulation, as if this were an alternate reality where all of these sorts of different factions knew each other we're
Oh.
going to randomized maps and...
Does it matter then that I've built, like, 5 army hangars and nothing else? I think my people are starving. What button do I hit to feed my people?
And gently flatten it until it's the size I want. I'm going to leave about half an inch around, just to give it a little chance to grow a bit more in the second proof. Now, normally if you were using regular flour for this, if you were using flour with gluten, you would want to really punch down the dough and get all the air out. But since we're using gluten-free dough, we don't want to do that. We want to keep in as much air as possible because there's less risk of overproofing, and the more air in it, the more it will rise. Okay, now that it is flattened out a bit more, I'm going to take our damp towel from before, cover it once more, and put it in the back to proof for about 1 more hour. We're also going to start preheating our oven to 450 degrees. Now, let's prepare our toppings. For our focaccia today, the toppings I have are asparagus, cherry tomatoes, garlic, shallots, sesame seeds, and Parmesan cheese.
Everything is fine. Here's more cheese.
I'm just going to cut them up and prepare them how I want them. I'll show you what they look like at the end. While they're doing that, let's talk a little bit about the characters of the Atomless. Among them are Azhaam, a soldier from a long-lost rebellion rediscovering his purpose, played by Nordin Ali Kadir, Dr. Theriac, co-founder of the galaxy's premier xenoecological preserve and educational facility, or so they hoped, played by Andre Rivera, Ig, a smuggler from the lower decks of an economically oppressed planet who tried to make her way to the sunlight and succeeded at a cost, played by Dylan Appiline, Skye, a teenager raised in a ruthless crime organization to be a weapon for their interest, seeking to find who she is without them, played by Momo O'Brien. All of them captained by Scrap, played by Robin Ekberg, who stitched his ship together with dreams of escaping their past to the stars. Join this ragtag group of adventurers as they travel on board the Patchwork across the Atomless Sea. See what strange spacefaring encounters they await. Okay, now that our toppings have been prepared and our dough has risen, it's time to assemble. But first, we need to give the focaccia its signature dimples. I'm going to oil up my fingers just a little bit so they don't stick to the dough. I'm going to press them just randomly throughout the surface of the dough. I want to press deep enough that I can feel the pan underneath, but I don't want to break through the dough. Gorgeous. Now I'm going to take our toppings. So my vision is to have space. You know what I mean? You'll see. So I'm going to have our sesame seeds as just like little stars throughout. So I'm going to start with those. And my asparagus I've cut to have little tails like this. And I'm going to make them look like shooting stars. My tomatoes I cut lengthwise so that they're round at the top, and I'm going to put them in to look like planets. Now the shallots are going to be the rings. And the garlic and the Parmesan cheese I've mixed together, but I'm not going to add them yet because they burn very quickly, so I am going to add them at the very last second of baking. So here it is. What it looks like.
How do I do that? There's like 80 things on the screen. I'm used to games where you just go pew pew and things explode and, jumps and shoots.
Lastly, I'm going to take some olive oil, drizzle it on top. Just want to make sure everything gets a little bit of that olive oil goodness. And then I'm going to pop this in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes. But you guys don't have to worry about that at all because with the magic of movie editing, you guys will see the finished product in 3, 2, 1. And there we have it, our gluten-free focaccia inspired by the Atomless, perfect for you to serve on a cheese board or with some mog wine or just while you're wandering your ship exploring the galaxy. Roll the glamour shots. And once again, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you check out the Atomless. All the links of where you can find them will be in the description down below. Make sure you stick around here at Open Table Adventures to see everything that we have in store for you. We're going to have more recipes. We have all of our actual plays. We have interviews and so much more. So make sure you subscribe and stick around because you are always welcome to pull up a seat. Bye-bye.
I dyed my hair, bought some clothes, grew a personality. After about a year of peace, I thought maybe the void wouldn't find me. But then we met you guys. It turns out the new me can't resist entering a void death race just out of spite, and the old me is... I think the old me just might be me. Anyway, the rest is history.